Today's color review is Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris. It's a beautiful paint color, but there's a lot of misconceptions out there online. You're going to hear people say that it's a warm off-white or a warm gray or that it looks like a statue, and the list goes on. I'm going to set the record straight, and I'm going to prove it to you by comparing Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris with other colors so that you can see what this color really is. Number one, I'm going to show you the undertones of Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris. Number two, I'm going to compare Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris with other colors so that you see where it really sits in the worlds of color. And number three, I'm going to talk about artificial lighting and natural lighting and why this is going to play a big role on how this paint color could look like in your home. And by the way, a subscriber requested me to do a color review of Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, and I highly encourage all of you that are watching this video, if you have a paint color that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comment section down below. All right, we're going to talk about the undertones of Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris. So the first thing that I want you to know is the undertones of Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, because it plays a big role on how this paint color will pair with your fixed elements, your interior decor, and don't forget about lighting. I'm going to talk about lighting towards the end of this video. So I'm going to prove it to you what the undertones of Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris is by comparing it with two paint colors. So watch this. The first paint color is called Benjamin Moore Classic Gray. And for those of you that don't know what Classic Gray is, it's considered a warm gray and it has a green-gray undertone. Watch this. When you compare Benjamin Moore Classic Gray with Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, you're going to instantly see how Plaster of Paris almost looks like a beige and how Classic Gray looks like a light, cool gray. Next, I'm going to compare this with Benjamin Moore Wheat Sheaf. And for those of you that don't know what wheat sheaf is, it's considered a yellow beige. Now watch this. When you compare wheat sheaf with Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, this is where you're going to see the gray in Benjamin Moore of Plaster of Paris. That right there is super important. I just said that this paint color has a little bit of beige and a little bit of gray. So this is technically a greige. So now you know the undertones of this paint color, but there's more to it than that. I'm going to compare this greige interior paint color with some other greige paint colors and one other warm gray, because I'm going to show you something that you need to know. So now that you know Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris is a greige, the next question is, where does it sit in the world of greige interior paint colors? And I'm going to compare it with three different types of greige paint colors. One is light, one is cool, and one is considered warm, because I want you to see what happens when you compare Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris with other greige paint colors. And this is super important. So listen carefully. And also, I'm going to compare it with a warm gray because there's an undertone that you need to know about. Watch this. Now, when we compare this with Benjamin Moore Swiss Coffee, this is considered a light greige. When you compare Benjamin Moore Swiss Coffee with Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, you're going to see how Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris is warmer than Benjamin Moore Swiss Coffee, and you're going to notice how it's muted in comparison with Benjamin Moore Swiss Coffee, and Benjamin Moore Swiss Coffee is considered a clean paint color in comparison to Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris. This is why you always have to compare this with other colors that you may have in your home. Now watch what happens when I compare this with another greige interior paint color called Benjamin Moore Sea Pearl. Now Sea Pearl is technically a warm greige, but it can also be a cool greige. So watch this. When you compare Benjamin Moore Sea Pearl with Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, again, you're going to see how Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris is warmer than Benjamin Moore Sea Pearl. And notice how cool Benjamin Moore Sea Pearl is. Okay, let's compare this with a warm greige called Clay Beige by Benjamin Moore. Now watch this. When you compare Benjamin Moore Clay Beige with Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, This is where you're going to see how Beige and Moore Plaster of Paris is cooler, it's lighter, and in this situation, it's a clean paint color in comparison to clay beige, as clay beige is muted, and you're going to notice a little bit of that gray in Beige and Moore Plaster of Paris. This is why it's so important to compare this with other colors that you may have in your home. Also, you're going to have a better idea of where this greige paint color sits in the worlds of greige colors. But there's something else I want you to know. Watch what happens when I compare this with Benjamin Moore Gray Mist. Now, for those of you that don't know, Benjamin Moore Gray Mist is considered a warm gray. It's warmer than classic gray, which I showed you earlier in the video, and this is considered a creamy warm gray. And remember, all warm grays have a green-gray undertone. Watch this. When you compare Benjamin Moore Gray Mist with Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, you're going to notice how Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris is lighter than Gray Mist. Gray Mist, you definitely see the gray. Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris, you see more of the beige. And notice how you don't see any green undertones in Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris. This is why Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris isn't considered a warm gray. So now you know. For those of you that want to avoid from making a costly mistake and you just want to get it right the first time, I highly encourage you to check out my shop page. I can help you both interior or exterior without ever stepping a foot in your home. And feel free to read over 400 reviews and see what clients have to say. Next, I'm going to talk about why lighting will play a big role on how Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris could look like in your home. Now when it comes to lighting, what you need to know about Benjamin Moore Plaster of Paris is a chameleon, but it's a chameleon in a good way. And this is what I mean. Let's say that you have a south-facing room, such as a room that's right behind me, or really just any room that receives a lot of natural lighting. You're going to notice that Plaster of Paris is going to be warm, airy, and inviting. It's got just a little bit of gray, but that's cutting the warmth of this paint color. It's a beautiful transitional paint color, assuming it pairs correctly with the fixed elements that you may have in your home. Now, if it was in a north-facing room, or really just any room that doesn't receive a lot of natural lighting, you're going to notice how Plaster of Paris is going to lean more on the gray side. However, it's got just enough warmth that it shouldn't look dingy. But at the end of the day, like I always say, you've got to compare your paint colors with other colors that you may have in your home. Now that you know what the undertone in this paint color is, which is a greige, you have a better idea of what this paint color looks like in comparison to other greige paint colors. And you know why it's not considered a warm gray. And you also know how this paint color could look like in your home in comparison to natural lighting. If you found this video helpful, please put a like. And for those of you that would like me to do a color review of a paint color that you would like to see, let me know in the comment section right down below. I would love to hear from you. Until then, I will see you in the next video.